Hey guys, I'm just gonna give everybody a couple minutes to hop on and then we can talk all about the garden. Okay. Let me pull up the chat. Hey Gossmania Homestead, welcome. Thanks for being here. Where are you joining from? See our dogs, rascals. Hey Egocentric Homestead, how's it going? We're getting a little bit of a storm brewing here. Pete's Little Homestead, hey, how are you? We're doing good. It's a little stormy, but you know, we've had a few days of sunshine, so I appreciate the break that we've had, even though it's stormy again. Samantha Grows, hey, so where's everybody joining from? Remind me. And what's growing zone are you guys in? There is a storm here. It's not bad. It looked bad, but it's just a little bit of rain and some wind, but not too bad. Okay, so just gonna give people a couple minutes to hop on, but storming here, Eastern North Carolina. Oh yeah, I remember, I feel like I've seen people in the Carolinas have been having some drought-like conditions so far this year. So I'm glad to hear that you guys have gotten rain, but I've heard you've gotten a lot of rain, right? And Kentucky 6B. Okay. Are you close to where the Stivers homestead is? I know that they're also in 6B and also in Kentucky. Oh, that's right, Ecocentric. You're in Newfoundland. Looks like our Wi-Fi. Are you on Wi-Fi? Can you get off? It's buffering a little bit.
Should it be loading?
Just see. Let's see. Perfect weather for transplants in Newfoundland. That's awesome. What zone is Newfoundland in? 5?
I just was looking at you because I just homestead's page today. 5 in the summer or winter and 3 in the summer or something.
That's not a thing.
Weird. It's goofy.
That's not a thing.
We'll see.
It stops. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you haven't had any flooding. Oh, okay. Kentucky's a beautiful state. I'm a big fan of Kentucky because they have a lot of horses and I'm a huge horse lover. So I'll just tell you guys a little bit about how things have been going in my garden, and I'd love just to hear about what's been going well and what's not been going well in your own gardens. So we'll just kind of chat back and forth about all the things. First off this year, I don't know if you guys saw the video I shared, I think it was a few months ago. I talked about the cabbages and how they were all pretty much dying. And we still don't have cabbage yet, but I'm very happy to say that they all pulled through. They're all alive, they're all growing. So, you know, what happened was I learned my lesson. The first thing that happened, well, the ground was a little too wet. I should have waited. The second thing that happened is I didn't plant them deep enough in the soil and they were too close to the wood chips and their roots didn't have anywhere to go. And the third thing is we had really hard weather. So it basically, right after they were transplanted, they didn't have anywhere to spread their roots and they were hit really hard. And so they essentially almost all died. And I replanted them and they're doing much better. So we should have cabbage at some point. Maybe. We'll see. If we don't get actual cabbage heads, I'll use the leaves for something. I don't know what happens if you don't get cabbage. I don't know if it just bolts, but we'll see. So that's the cabbage saga. I do want to make a video when we finally do harvest some cabbage because I think that would be a huge win from what I thought was a total failure. Ecocentric. So you're in 5A hardiness zone. Cool summers. Yeah, we have cool summers here too. So you have winter and cool summers. That's really nice. Hey, Botter, how's it going? We're talking about garden failures and weather. I love the new garden beds that you guys have put in. They look so good. Okay. Have you done cabbage before, Pete's Little Homestead? I've never done it before, so I totally don't know what to expect. Um, Good. I'm glad to hear things are going well. Yeah, the garden's funny. It teaches you a lot, that's for sure. And it's easy to just look at the things that aren't going well and not to really appreciate the things that are going well. So, yeah, so I've never grown cabbage before, so I don't know like how it produces heads, when it produces heads, what it looks like when it starts to produce a head. So I'm kind of just waiting and checking on it daily, and luckily the bugs have been leaving them alone pretty much. A few, holes in the leaves, nothing horribly damaging, which is very surprising. And I think we have one, I think it's what is it? The purple one. It's not purple cabbage, it's not red cabbage, it's a different kind. Oh, I forget what it's called, but it's gonna be the first to produce a head. So that's cabbage. And yeah, I know a lot of people have been dealing with cabbage worm or cabbage moth worms. Is anybody dealing with that this year? Cabbage has long been my what has been your challenge with growing cabbage, Ecocentric? Do you think it's buffering because of the bad weather?
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm buffering a little bit. Normally I don't have issues with Wi-Fi, but should I try switching to the 5G?
You're gonna mess up your screen if you change right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Let's see. You should do it. I think it would do really well for you guys in the fall and maybe even the winter. What's your winter like, Butters? Like, how cold does it get there for you guys? Because cabbage can handle cold, so it probably would do really well for you guys in the fall and winter. So we have cabbage. That's one of the first. It's kind of a failure, but it's kind of cool because it, in some ways, is a success. And we also had this year broccoli. Broccoli has been an interesting one. So funny because last year I put in starts that were not great and it grew and it did great. And we had broccoli. This year I put in starts that were awesome. The starts were so healthy and the broccoli is like this big. The heads are like this big. So we had dinner the other night and I had like 2 pieces of broccoli that were just itty bitty. Hey, hold the walnuts. Cabbage worm, you didn't want to. Yeah, cabbage worms can be really difficult. I think the best thing to do is, if you can, is preventatively using row cover for cabbages. But I did use that at the beginning, and then I noticed the row cover was actually trapping pests. So I think I just didn't have it tight enough, and so the row cover was trapping things, and the cabbage was getting holes in the leaves. Hey, Joshua, Dallas, Texas. So you're not too far from the Botters then. Well, I know you guys aren't in Dallas area, are you? I don't know, but still, Texas. Texas is pretty big, though, I guess. Hey, Katie, how are you guys? Nope, not close to the Botters. Thanks, Botter Homestead. So the other fail was broccoli. I cannot grow broccoli. It's so finicky. I think it needs to be a fall crop. So I'm actually going to be starting some broccoli just this weekend, and I'll probably plant it in, let's see, so if I start it this weekend, I'll probably plant it in August, early August, and then hopefully have some in the fall. Because I think what happens, actually, I think too that plants respond to the length of day as well, and that can also trigger bolting, not just the temperatures. So I think that can affect bolting. So I don't know. That's what I've heard. Um, so kind of failure with cabbage, kind of failure with broccoli. Uh, those are both in the Brassica family. Our kale's doing pretty good. It's been really slow. We've had a ton of water, so things have just been really slow. Your broccoli is going strong. Awesome. I'm so jealous, Katie. Where are you located? Let's see. You're failing on the beans. So many aphids. For aphids, so do you have any opportunity to release some ladybugs? I've heard you can buy ladybugs even like online, and you can release the ladybugs, and those will naturally eat the aphids. You can also make a neem oil solution mixture with water and neem oil diluted and spray the aphids at night. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Beans are hard for us, but mostly because of Japanese beetles, which we get a lot of in July. I'm hoping we don't get a lot this year, but if we do, I'm going to be handpicking them every morning. I know that. Massachusetts. Well, I'm glad to hear your broccoli is going strong. Did you have it in like raised beds? Because I think what happened to me is the ground was just too wet and it just caused it to bolt early. Cabbage worm, cabbage needs mulch. Yeah, mulch is huge. That's like one of my top things that I like to do in the garden, and I think it makes such a big difference especially in in-ground gardens. Yes, try the neem oil. Definitely try the neem oil. That takes care of aphids really quickly. Another thing you can do with aphids is spray them with cold water, like hard. Spray the plants hard with cold water, and that will kill the aphids as well. Um, your tomatoes are laughing at you. So what's going on with the ones that are in the pots? Did you figure out if they were too dry or not? So funny. Yeah, it's funny that you say that, Butter. Yeah. Okay, so you can use topsoil if it's in the ground, but I think if you use topsoil in any kind of containers, it's just not enough nutrients in a, dense area. Like the thing about compost is it's like high density of nutrients, whereas topsoil is not. So plants will spread out their roots to grab the nutrients, but I think in containers it can be difficult. So let's see. You're in Connecticut. Lots of lettuce. Everything else is on 6 inches. Yeah. Are you growing in the ground or are you growing in raised beds? I noticed this year for us in the ground, the garden is growing very, very, very slow. It's too wet, and we don't have, we haven't built up organic matter yet. And so things are going really slow. But we have a couple raised beds that we put aged horse manure in, and everything's just like taking off in those beds. And it makes me kind of sad because I look at that and I'm like, wow, my whole garden could look like that if I had that kind of compost everywhere. Yeah, Joshua, you can use cold water. It will basically just like wipe them out. You can also use soapy water with neem oil, but just make sure you don't do it during the day or in the morning. You want to do it at night because if you do it during the day, it will actually bleach your plants and it can make your plants just shrivel up really quick. Little treasures, both in the ground and in raised beds. Oh no. Yeah, it's really hard to watch things grow so slow. Yeah. Yeah, Butter Film said, yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised tops. It's so hard to know too, like what the nutrient level is when you bring in things from outside. I'll say like I got like high quality organic compost, and it's not nearly as impressive as the aged horse manure that we had here on our farm. So I don't know. I don't think when you bring things in from outside, you can really know how good it's going to be unless you've seen it work for someone else or you've already had success with it. But I think once you find a good source, like stick with that source. So I definitely think making your own compost is so awesome if you can. And I know you guys are doing that. So I failed onions and beets. Advice. Well, you're in Massachusetts. So it's like hard. You can't really start over with onions because it's a little late. You can start over with beets. I've had a lot of success starting beets indoors. I don't know if that's an option for you. I don't know if you have any like grow lights or anything like that, but I do beets as transplants and I've had a lot of success with that. I also am having success this year with direct sowing beets. So they're growing right along slowly and I don't know, but they're growing really well. So awesome, Joshua. You'll have to let me know how the neem oil goes for the aphid problem. Just make sure it's diluted with water. You know, read the directions online and on the container neem oil, and don't do it during the day. But if you do it after work, that should be good. Hello, alternative smallholding. How are you, Jasmine? Yeah, ecocentric. It's like mulch. It just makes sense, you know, especially with the permaculture way of growing things. Even if we have good rain, the top layer of the soil gets dry, it gets hard, it gets crunchy, like so fast, even if it's good compost. But when you mulch it, even with a thin layer of like grass clippings, it does such wonders. I really love using mulch. I think it's just something anybody should use, whether it's grass clippings or leaves or wood chips or rotted hay, as long as you know it's not been sprayed, you know, it's amazing what it can do to keep the moisture contained and also keep things from getting really, really hard. Hey, Susie, how's it going? And Canterbury Trails Farm, welcome, guys. Where are you guys joining from tonight? Well, I don't know that is neem oil an essential oil? I don't think it's an essential oil. Well, it might already be diluted actually. So it might be an essential oil already diluted. But yeah, you can use other essential oils in the garden. I just saw a video, you know, who just made a video about this, Better Together Life just did a live about essential oils in the garden. I haven't used a whole lot. We haven't had so many issues this year with pests, and I'm kind of like letting things like, you know, go through their natural course. But definitely go back and watch that live stream. They should have some suggestions. What's peppermint and water for, Botter? Ooh, you had rain. You guys have been in a drought condition, right? I'm so glad to hear you've had rain. And vegan chili for, oh, so funny the language. I'm like, you had vegan chili for tea, and I'm thinking like you drank it, but that's your lunchtime, right? Your lunch or your dinner or something? I'm glad you're here. But do you know what the peppermint and water was for, Botter? I'm just curious. I didn't get a chance to watch their live. I just know that they had it, and I obviously love them. They're great. From Texas. So many people from Texas tonight. That's so fun. I'd love to spend some time in Texas and Washington State. Yeah. So Josh was asking basically what pest peppermint and water targets. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Washington, how has the weather been like in Washington for you, Susie? Have you guys been getting some flooding? Okay, yeah, Katie the cowgirl, try growing them indoors, starting them indoors. I started them indoors this year with grow light, as close as you can possibly get that grow light, because they'll get leggy so easily, and when they're leggy, it's really hard to keep them alive. So get the grow light really close. You can put 3 to 6 seeds per cell, and you can actually plant beets in clumps. I do 3 to 4 beets per clump, and that's how I plant them. You can watch more about it on Charles Dowding's YouTube channel. So I do them in clumps, and they grow great. Last year I had a great little crop of beets in probably it was like late June. I'm gonna have beets in the next couple weeks, probably. I have some beet tops that are, you know, already like playing with my hair tie, already like this big, and they're already producing little bulbs like that big. Somebody said something about Radishes with no bulb. I had the same issue. Was it Pete's Little Homestead? Yeah. So I tried radishes this year. I had great success with radishes last year. You know, great little bulbs, roots, whatever it is. And this year, nothing. Like so stinking small. And they had already started to bolt. And I think it was just the heavy rain and they just didn't like that. You know, bolting is just a sign of stress in plants, so oftentimes it will be heat, but it can be other factors as well. It's hot in Washington for you, hold the walnuts. I did not say what the one thing I can't grow is. What's the one thing you can't grow? The one thing I have not been able to grow is spinach. I cannot grow spinach, and I'm going to keep trying. I grew spinach that was like that big, but then I decided I needed to plant something else in its place. So yeah, you had so much rain. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Canterbury Trails Farm. Are you on Wholesome Roots page? Was that you who was talking about dealing with pulling out your beans and starting over? If it makes you feel better, I did mostly just plant a lot of pole beans the other day. If you saw my video, I mostly planted them the other day. Uh, and and they should be fine. So it's not too late. Okay, Canterbury Trails. Yeah, I saw that post. I'm so bummed for you, but I'm really glad that you have more time. The radish has been a pain. Yeah, radish is normally so easy. I was like, I'm gonna start them early. I'm gonna have radishes in a few weeks. Nope, we had the world's smallest radishes. Actually, the picture that you might see for this thumbnail, the one on the left, is a picture of the radish tops because they look so pretty, but the roots were just tiny. Let's see what else we got. So yeah, Canterbury Trails, we can't grow those things in the winter unless you have a high tunnel here or a low tunnel. It just gets too snowy and a little too cold. A lot of them won't make it through the winter unless you have some source of heat or greenhouse. Ecocentric direct sows beets and your uncle sows them in modules. Yeah, I think either way can work great. It just depends. And I think if you are going to direct sow them, as soon as they come up, mulching them is really important because what I've had is they'll germinate and then they'll just dry up and shrivel up if they're like in a raised bed or something because they don't have enough moisture. So I found that. It was 57 today. Wow, that is really cold for June. Oh my goodness. I get a little anxious when the temperatures drop below like 70 these days because I'm just like, I need the heat for my peppers. But yeah, I mean, it's been chilly. We had a day recently where the low is in the 40s at night, and that's not normal for this time of year. You have plenty of time to replant Canterbury Trails. Totally. And Joshua, I would love to see you make a teepee for something. I'm really excited to grow things on that teepee in the fall as well. Once the beans are done, I'm gonna be I might actually, you know what I'll do? Instead of waiting for the beans to be done, in like, I don't know, August, I'll do some more peas and I'll plant peas around the teepee so that as the beans kind of finish off, I can have beans growing up it. Or peas, sorry. You sowed or spinach today. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully I can learn from you because I have totally failed with spinach. Um, oh no, you thought the seedlings were weeds. That we do have a couple of weeds here that look very, very similar to spinach, but they do fine, whereas my spinach does not. Oh, you know what I did? This was another one of my fails. I pulled asparagus thinking it was grass. Oh, it was a little heartbreaking because I thought the asparagus all failed because I didn't see anything coming up, and I was like, oh, this is grass. No, nope. I pulled it. You struggle with arugula. I struggle with arugula too. I cannot get arugula to germinate. I don't know why either. Well, I can't even get it to germinate or like grow like tiny at all. Or maybe I can, I need to label better. So I might have grown it and just didn't know what it was. I'm horrible at labeling things. Oh, Bodder, I'm so glad to hear that. You'll have to share it on our Facebook page. Our tree may be a bit bare. Well, pruning is great for trees, so. Let's see. Do we use fertilizer? Yes, I'm using fertilizer this year because we just haven't built up our organic matter yet. So I have leftover fish emulsion from last year. I'm not buying it anymore, but I'm using what's left. And I'm using liquid seaweed, because that's a good plant-based option. And I'm also making compost tea with the bunny waste, like their litter box stuff. So I'm doing compost tea because it was too much work for me to separate out their like pellets from their, litter from their urine. So I'm just doing a compost tea. Okay, Vivi did next. I actually haven't heard of that channel, so I'm gonna have to look it up. It sounds really cool. And now I feel like I will have to relate with her on doing teepees. Wow, that's chilly, Pizza Homestead, and you're in Kentucky. I would expect it to be so much warmer than that. Oh no, alternative to small holding. Okay, I cannot remember if I did turnips or if I did parsnips. Which one looks like a radish and which one looks like a carrot? Because I've been eating some of them. I just don't remember what they are. Your kale reseeded was growing in the bean beds. Oh, that's so sad that you had to pull it. I just love kale. I love it. I'm guessing parsnips are the ones that look like carrots and turnips are the ones that I have. You're trying cucamelons this year. Parsnip is like a carrot. Okay, so I haven't done parsnips before. I am doing turnips this year for the first time. I've never actually eaten them before. And we have them growing and they're doing well. We've already had roasted a couple of them and I want to make some more. I might make parsnip soup is a thing, right? Turnip soup is not a thing. Well, I was gonna say I might make turnip soup, but I don't think that's a thing. You're starting cucamelons. You started them a month ago. Oh, well, that's interesting. Can you try Little Treasures? Where are you located? Can you try direct seeding them? Because we have them in the ground and they're small. They're like the size of my thumbnail, but they're not that small and they didn't take too long. But yeah, cucamelons I've heard are infamously difficult to get growing, but once they start growing, like once they develop some more leaves, they start to really take off. It's cold tonight in Michigan too, Heaven's Gates. Wow, it's crazy. Let me see what the weather looks like tonight for us. Ooh, turnip soup. It's a thing. Okay, well, maybe I'll have to make turnip soup. Looks like the low tonight is 54. Of course, we have a windy day tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. And I'm so glad that you like sharing challenges. It is hard, and I think there's some level of people come to YouTube because they want to live through other people's lives in a positive way, and they don't necessarily want to see the negative things. But I just am really passionate about sharing like the real emotions, like the real emotions that I experience, because I think that we all experience that, and it doesn't mean that I'm not trying to get past it, but it is good to acknowledge. Like I have this kind of crazy fear this year that everything's just gonna die. And so every time something actually lives, I'm pretty excited. Like I think we'll have garlic, I think we'll have good potatoes, I think we're gonna have some tomatoes. I think we're gonna have some beets and carrots, and those are all wins. And so instead of thinking about all the stuff that's not doing well, it's good to focus on the wins. Ooh, you'll have to share that with me, Jasmine. You should post it on the plant-based homesteaders Facebook page because people would love that. That's a great plant-based recipe, garden-based. Let's see. Arugula went crazy. You planted seeds in the ground and almost pulled the seedlings. The seedlings look nothing like arugula. Well, I'm gonna try arugula again. You know what? I'm thinking the things that I have a hard time growing, I'm going to try growing in grow bags with like good compost. That way I can monitor them a little bit more closely and see where they're coming up. Carrots are hard to grow, Katie. I feel like if you have a good carrot setup, it's like it goes really, really well. But if you don't, it's really hard. And what I've found is they really like compost. Like our carrots have been growing really well in aged horse manure. They grew really well last year in aged horse manure, and this year they're already like this big, and I didn't plant them that long ago. So I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, once you find a soil that works well for carrots, it's kind of like you have to hold on to it. You need to keep planting them the same way because it can be tricky. Yeah, Canterbury Trails Farm. I am hoping to do more carrots. I need to be better. I'm so bad about remembering to succession sow. So until like we harvest things, like I want to be better about like every 2 weeks I plant carrots or every couple weeks I plant radishes. So I need to go and find. I want to dedicate like one entire raised bed to carrots because I just love them. That's awesome, Joshua. Somebody else here was saying they're having difficulty with cucamelons. So it sounds like maybe they could learn from what you've had luck with. Yeah, Jazz, I feel the same way about there are so many wins every year, and it's important to look at that and you know what it is I think in the winter and as we head into spring we have so much excitement for all these things that we're growing, and in your mind, like when I drew out my garden plan, everything would do well. Like in my mind, everything would do well, and I didn't even think some of these crops might entirely fail. And it's a good reminder as you go through each season to remember like you can have these goals and wants for your garden, but to also acknowledge that it's not all going to do well and every year is going to be different, and it's okay to want everything to live but then to not have that be reality. Hey Laura, I saw that you joined. Welcome. Oh good, I'm glad to hear that, little treasures. um, Acorn and spaghetti squash. Yum. I tried planting acorn squash from seeds that I got in a seed swap, and none of them germinated. So I replanted it with some other kind of squash. I think maybe buttercup squash, which I love. And I also did some spaghetti squash recently over by the Bean TV. Better Together Life. Peppermint, oil, and a pinch of salt. Okay. It keeps the spray. Wait. Keep the spray away from the plants that need more pollinators. But what, so does it keep things away from the plants? Is that why? Hey Samantha, no worries. Thanks for being here. I'm glad to see you here. Wow, Katie, it's so chilly there in Massachusetts, 53 degrees. It's raining here, but I think that's like 60 something. Jazz, you're so funny. Yeah, okay, so this thing happened to me last year. We had carrots, a few different harvests of carrots. The first time I tried, washing them, storing them in the fridge, and they all got like soft and weird within like a day. And then at the end of the season, I had this one container that I put them in, and I put them in the back of the fridge. And this container is like my magical carrot storage container. If I put it in the right spot in the back corner of the fridge, it stored carrots for 9 months. 9 months. And they were perfect when I cut into them. So there's something about that one corner of the fridge and that one container. It's always going to be my carrot container. It can only hold so many, but it's going to be my thing. So I'll have to do that again. Yeah, ecocentric. So it sounds like you might have a good setup for carrots then. What do you grow carrots in? Like what's your setup for carrots look like? Do you use a raised bed? Do you use in-ground? Do you have sandy soil? Do you have clay soil? Like what's your soil like? Because I think that has a lot to do with it. 90s here in California. Well, it sounds like you finally got some warmth. I heard that California's been really chilly lately. Buttercup squash are the most amazing and underrated squash. And the reason I say underrated is because nobody knows about them, I feel like. And it's kind of, I always say it's like a cross between like a butternut squash and a potato. It's like creamy and like tender and not at all stringy, and it has the best flavor. Makes really good curry soup. Makes so good roasted. It's just like the best. I love buttercup squash. Has anybody else grown buttercup squash? I'm growing them on a trellis this year, and actually I should plant some more because I just really love them. I'm gonna go plant some more this weekend. What makes you nervous about your squash, Katie? Something specifically going wrong with them this year? Oops, spaghetti squash. Did it grow in your compost pile? I don't know if I saw that. Did you post about that? That's awesome. Okay, Katie, you need to look up buttercup squash. It is amazing. I don't think we have a big squash bug problem. I'm sure we have some squash bugs. I'm sure we have hornworms, but we don't have the insane heat or humidity that the South has. We have pretty mild summers most of the time. And so I think that's probably why they're not horrible, but I think every year is different. This is like early in my gardening life. So yeah. Never heard it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Samantha, growing succulents. They are so tiny. How are your little pots that you planted in Pete'sville Homestead? Your carrots are in a raised bed, and do they do well? I don't remember if you said they did. That's awesome. They grew from the chickens. That's awesome. I hope that you get lots of spaghetti squash from that. That'd be a great story. Hey, Whitney Homestead. Is it Hannah on or Dan, or maybe it's little baby Eliza? Who knows? She's an early developer. Burgess Buttercup. Yes. Nothing wrong with the squashes. Oh, okay. Like you're so excited about squash. You know what it is? It's so funny. Last year, I wasn't that nervous about my garden. Like I wasn't that scared. I wasn't worried that things would fail. And I think it was because I didn't care as much. And then this year I care so much, and now I'm just nervous about everything. But yeah, I can relate to that feeling of just being nervous that squashes aren't going to do well, but I think they'll do great. I feel like where you are in Massachusetts is a good place to grow things like squash. A little Eliza, go to sleep, Eliza. My friend Hannah, who's on here at the Whitney Homestead, has a 3-week-old baby. She's 4 weeks old now. 4 weeks old. She's so cute. Yeah, Samantha, like it's so not normal for things not to have drainage, so that makes sense. It's hard to figure out. 5 weeks, wow. I guess it's been a little while since you were there. Ecocentric, in-ground beds, compost amended glacial till, no clay. You went looking. Okay, so you have pretty loose soil. I'm guessing kind of some rocks, because I think carrots like that. Oh, hold the walnuts, baby friends. That's sweet. Oh, yes, you're right, Samantha. Very precious. Okay, yeah, so I'm glad to hear that, Joshua. Our watermelons, I've never grown watermelons well here. And we'll see you later, Katie. Thanks for being here. Okay, so hi, Callie. Your watermelons are doing awesome. Your okra has been struggling. Hey, Rebecca. How is the weather in Colorado tonight? So what is everybody really impressed with so far this year? Like, what's one thing that's just growing super, super awesome? And what did you do this year that you think you can attribute to the crops doing well? You can do it, Botterfs. You got it. Just plant some more. It's gonna do it. I think okra likes Texas. And I think it's pretty quick. It's a pretty quick crop, so you got this. Yeah, Hannah, you've had great greens. I feel like I'm jealous of your greens. That salad mix, Salanova lettuce. Oh, that looks so good. So good. We've been eating a lot of greens from our volunteer lettuce. Came up from last year. It's like a butter lettuce or some kind of butter lettuce, and it's been really good, really fresh. I've been putting it on tacos and stuff. Let's see. The things that have been doing best for me, I mean, I can't really say for certain because I don't know yet, but the garlic appears to be doing really well. It's very tall, it's nice and green. The width of the stalk is great. And yeah. How in the world, Hannah? That's so fast. That's crazy. Your Mizuna and arugula almost ready. Well, maybe I should get going on some Mizuna and arugula here. And it's so funny because I'll do something here and it won't do well. And then I go plant stuff in my friend's garden and it does great. Like, okay, well, it's not me then. Let's see. It's just starting to sprout. Mother's Day was your last frost. Blech, frost. Corn and bush beans popping up. That's awesome. We have corn. It's all come up. It's like this big. And we have beans. The beans are doing fine. They're little. They're not huge. 85. Wow. Well, honestly, like those first things, that sounds like really good. Your tomatoes, your melons, your cucumbers, and your squash are all doing amazing. That's awesome because those things are all really delicious. And you are struggling with okra and ground cherries. I'm sorry to hear about that. Ground cherries are funny little plants. They take a really, really, really long time to grow, and then I feel like they take off. They're kind of weird. I had about half of our ground cherries that just like turned very, very, very pale. They didn't like to be wet, and half of them did fine. So, let's see. Oh, Chris is sleeping on the couch. I didn't know if he was sleeping or not, but he's just doing his own thing tonight, taking a break. I wonder if your okra seeds are the problem, Rebecca, because the seeds I got like germinated really fast and really easily. So where did you get your seeds from? And oh, yay, to good onions. Your tomatoes, your brassicas, and your onions are huge. Well, that's awesome. Good onions, that's awesome. I don't know how our onions are gonna do. Are your onion bulbs already big too? Let's see, because our tops are big, and the bulbs are like this big, but they're not huge at all yet. I think I have confidence that they're gonna do well. Jealousy vibes watching Roots and Refuge just because of all the success in the garden. Yeah, they've got a beautiful garden there. I try to remember that this is one thing I try to remember with gardening is that oftentimes the people that I am so admire and like so jealous of their space, oftentimes they've had so many years where there's like years of struggle to get to that point, and I try to appreciate that it takes time, and we all kind of have to walk in that time to struggle before we get to a place of really flourishing and abundant gardens. And each year is different too. Like I know Jess has been saying that this year has been the hardest year for her gardening because just the weather and pests. And so it's just good to know like there's things we can do and there's things we can learn and there's soil health, but then sometimes things are hard too, and there's things we can't predict. Yeah, Hannah, ground cherries took me a really long time to germinate. So they did eventually germinate though. We have a lot of ground cherries. Got like probably 10 plants out there in the ground. They're like good, they're good size. Yes, Jazz, I think they are Cape Goose Well, it depends. Some people use them synonymously, ground cherries and Cape gooseberries. It's very, very, very similar. There's just different kinds of ground cherries. One originated in one area and one originated in tropical region. I don't remember, but they're very, very similar. Um, your dad brought you I saw that they brought you so many onions. Well, 50 is good. Bummer that you didn't plant all of them, but hopefully you ate them as green onions. Hey, Wasteland Acres. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the bean teepee. It was such a fun little project. It definitely just was seems like something fun to do on a Saturday, so I just did it. Wow, and Jazz, that's pretty early to have big, massive bulbs, right? When did you plant them? We planted our onions in April, and they're doing good. They're fine. I think they'll be ready by August, but they're not going to be ready anytime soon. I think Samantha, radish. Yeah, it was radishes that did so bad. So thank you. I'm so glad you like the garden. It's definitely, it's kind of amazing to look back and see all that we've done. Even if things don't grow really well this year, it's well, it's kind of crazy that we've been able to expand the way we have. Ooh, potatoes are big. The plants are big and they're flowering and everything. That's awesome. Yeah, Egocentric Home said you're right. It does take time unless you have a lot of money to spend because you have to build up your soil, you have to build up the organic matter. And some people, they have a lot of money to spend where they can bring in really good compost right away and do, awesome things early on. And that's great. It's great. And you can have success earlier. But most people can't afford to bring in tons and tons of good compost. And so trying to improve your soil over time does take years. And even if you do bring in good compost, it tends to need some time to adjust to your climate and all of that. Yeah, you're right, Jazz. Comparing to others is just going to be frustrating because the context matters so much, and in everything in life, context makes such a big difference. I think we forget that we see someone else's world and it looks perfect on the outside, but we just kind of don't remember the context of where they're living and how things are. And also we know all the bad, and we don't always see all the bad in other people's lives too. Gosh, hold the walnuts. Good night. I'm sorry you have fighting toddlers, but thanks for being here. And I'm glad you like the teepee. Pete's Little Homestead. Yeah, it was super fun. It was really easy, free. I would love to see other people do it. TP fever. It was seriously so easy though, and it's so cool being able to just use materials just laying around and turn it into growing space. So I think I'm gonna make more of them. I might make small ones. I might make, I don't know, might as well just make more trellises all over the place. I can make some in the, I can make one in the food forest and grow grapes on it or whatever. I don't know, all kinds of things. So got lots of wood. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. You're so sweet. I'm glad you like the property and the garden and that you like us. You're so kind. That makes me feel really good. Yeah, Joyful Earth Homestead. I love your new name, by the way. It's awesome, and you should. Oh, thanks, Joshua. That's so kind. It's our first super chat ever. I really appreciate that. Oh, and it's really raining out here. Thank you. Let's see. Playhouse TV. Okay, so I had Chris take a couple pictures of me trying to get into the teepee so I could use it for the thumbnail, and I couldn't get in, but it looks like I was in there because I stuck my head in for the picture, but I couldn't. He was like, "You're not going to be able to fit in the teepee without moving it aside," and so it would work really well for a kid because you could grow plants on it, and then the kids could sneak in and enjoy the inside of it. And it would eventually be like all hidden. So cool. Thanks, Jazz. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited for the future and expanding and the food forest and just the knowledge that things are just going to one day I'll look back and I'll be like, wow, I can't believe how far it's come. And it's easy just to like be impatient and be in that state of like, oh, well, I want it now. But if you have it right away, you don't appreciate all the work that goes into really having that garden and food forest and all of that. Yes. Yes. I love all the comments about the teepee. Yeah, ecocentric. Yeah, I mean, it takes a ton of work to have good soil, abundant gardens, and to grow food really well. And it's true, like whether you're paying somebody for their work or you're doing the work yourself, it still is work. And I think it's good to acknowledge that it's just, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of work. And it becomes so worth it, especially if you do the work yourself. Talk to ourselves. Yeah, we do talk harsh to ourselves. We're really critical to ourselves. You know, people, might say like, you have a beautiful garden, and I see my garden and I'm like, I just see the things that are broken and not the things that are abundant. And so it's a good reminder. Let's see. Hey, Morgan, how are you? Thanks for being here, Hannah. I'm sorry you had to leave, but I'm glad you're here. Amy, I'm out of sync. Like my voice and face are out of sync, or I mean, my voice and visual and audio are out of sync, or is the like I'm not keeping up with the chat? Because that's pretty common. It's hard to be perfectly in sync on YouTube because there's lots of buffering. But thank you for the compliment. It might be on your end, but if other people are experiencing that, I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, weird. Well, yeah, I don't know. It might be. I think I saw my video buffering a couple of times tonight, so it's probably storm related issues. We having like a pretty heavy rainstorm right now. So I had another thing I was thinking about earlier that I wanted to share with you guys, something about the garden. Let's see. Okay, well, I'm glad you're able to fix it a little bit. Amy, where are you joining from? We're here we're in upstate New York, and I know some people are joining from Texas, and we have Morgan from Vermont and all kinds of, and we have Jazz from across the pond. There's something I was totally going to share with you guys that's on my mind. Oh, I have, wow, Ireland. That's awesome. Planning by Shannon. Hey, downstate New York. So whereabouts in New York are you joining from? Planning by Shannon. A willow shrub. Let's see. I don't know where I missed. Oh, willow. Willow makes great living teepees. Cool. Well, we have 2 massive willows. I'll have to like look into what that looks like. There's a doggo. There's 2 doggos. We have one over here, and then there's another one. She'll probably come in. She's sleeping in her bed right now. Yeah, we have 2 people from the UK. Awesome. Peak scale. Moving west. Okay. Moving west, whereabouts do you guys think you're going to be heading to? And you're tired, but not tired. ADHD and autism. Yes, I imagine that's not fun to be conflicted like that. Let's see. Brooke is asking what kinds of dogs we have. Well, we have a golden retriever, and then we have a yellow lab that we adopted when he was 4 months old, and now he is 18 months, and he needs to go get fixed soon because he has not been fixed yet. Well, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. What else can I share about the garden this year? Well, I learned one thing. Oh no, I'm sorry. Things are a little crazy. It sounds like you're in the middle of work, but talk to you soon, Joshua. Thanks for being here and thanks so much for the super chat. They are growing so fast. Are you talking about the yellow lab? So we also have peas growing this year. And one thing I realized that I kind of made a mistake with is I didn't plant enough peas and I didn't plant them close enough together. So they're just kind of sparse and we're not going to get a whole lot of peas. I just didn't know how much you plant. So at first I thought I planted too much. And I realized like, oh, you actually plant a lot of peas. You really densely plant them by seeing how other people's were growing. So I'm going to be doing that different in the fall. And one thing that's doing surprisingly well, and I'm really glad about that, is our artichokes. They're doing really well. Stepdad grows stuff. Cool. Does he grow anything that you really like to eat? I'm fairly new to gardening, definitely new to it. It's been an adventure. You have 6 dogs? How did I not know that, Rebecca? What kind of dogs do you guys have? Yeah, I'm so glad we get multiple seasons for everything because it gives you another chance to try again. Amy, you want a pit bull? Well, there are lots of pit bulls obviously that need homes, and I know that a lot of people find that they're really amazing dogs, especially rescue dogs. Just seem to know, that they're rescued and they're really friendly. King Shepherd, that's cool. Is that a breed in Ireland? I don't think I've heard of that before. Wow, Jazz, that's so crazy. See, I planted like one every 4 inches. Snap peas are really good. That's what I'm talking about, Amy. Like, really, really good. Has anybody ever heard of like the produce delivery boxes that are like imperfect produce or bye botters? Have a good night. Thanks for being here. Like we just got our first delivery from one called Misfits Market, and it was a whole box of produce. It was like imperfect produce, so things might have had like blemishes or maybe weren't the perfect shape or size. And what happens is you can get them for really inexpensive. I've done Grays before too. That's like a snack box subscription, right? 4 Siberians, 1 Malamute, and 1 Golden Retriever. Wow. That's awesome. See you next time, Pizza Homestead. So Samantha, which one are you thinking about doing the is it called imperfect produce or something like that? Malamutes are pretty awesome. Artichokes are really good. You should try growing them in Colorado. It might be a risk, but I'm growing them here and it's totally a risk. And they're huge. I don't know if they're gonna do well this year, but I'm hoping they come back. Oh, that sounds awesome. I don't know if I've seen your dog in your videos. Is he ever in your videos? And ecocentric, yeah, try densely planting them because I've seen people have a lot of success with like densely planted peas. Oh, guys, it's almost 8 o'clock. I am going to hop off because you know who's having a premiere? The Holler Homestead. I don't know if you guys know who they are, but they're doing a premiere of their new homestead property, and I don't want to interrupt their premiere, and I would love for you guys to join it. So it's the Holler Homestead. Let me type it for you guys if you don't know. They're doing a premiere of their homestead property that they just bought. So you'll have to go check it out. The Hollers, yes. So I'm going to go watch it, and I think they're doing it at 8, so in a minute. And I just thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next week.